There's more breaking news. A U.S. official now telling CNN that multiple coalition airstrikes are being carried out against ISIS right now as the terrorist forces retake a key Iraqi city, that city being Ramadi. Our chief national security correspondent, Jim Sciutto, is working the story for us. What are you hearing from your sources, Jim?
Well, that's right, Wolf. Hearing from a senior administration official just in the last hour of 8 strikes in just the last 6 hours. Earlier, the U.S. military in Iraq told us that Ramadi at this point is about 50-50, half under Iraqi control, half under ISIS control, which is frankly alarming considering how many months Iraqi forces have been fighting to defend this city. Just on Friday, at least 47 Iraqi soldiers and 26 civilians killed there.
Iraqi forces battling ISIS inside the critically important city of Ramadi. A desperate defense against a deadly offensive by the terror group, who sent a barrage of suicide car bombs through breaches in the city's defenses. After a months-long battle, Ramadi, the largest city in western Iraq and just 70 miles west of Baghdad, is in danger of falling into ISIS's hands.
Within Ramadi, again, it's difficult to say specifically in terms of percentages how much each side controls, if you will.
More than 100,000 residents have fled the violence in just the last month, says the U.S.
The Iraqi forces could very quickly be overwhelmed if they're not careful, and that could spell all types of trouble for Baghdad.
To the northeast, the critical oil refinery at Baji also remains under ISIS assault, with Iraqi forces struggling to keep the terror group at bay. The Pentagon calls the fight there a stalemate. The new ISIS push comes as the terror group's leader released an audio statement calling for recruits across the globe to join the fight in Iraq and Syria or take up arms in their own countries, including the U.S. Today, the U.S. military said Baghdadi's message is a sign he is having trouble recruiting and that ISIS is securing only propaganda victories on the battlefield. The combination of the U.S.-led air campaign and Iraqi ground action have left the group unable to field large conventional formations to take and hold territory, says the Pentagon. Former U.S. commanders see weakness in the Iraqi military as well.
That ability to hit back on ISIS is non-existent. Iraqi forces do not have the capability to actually not only defend the territory that they've already got, but to go on the offensive.
Let's take a look now at the map. This is areas under ISIS control in Iraq and Syria in the last 3 months. Yellow, ISIS support zones. Red, ISIS control zones. This is February 2015. This is 3 months later today. Not much of a difference. I'm just going to go back and forth so you can look again. February, and then 3 months later, some gains up here for some of the rebels against ISIS. But when you look at cities like Ramadi, when you look at Baiji, it's a back and forth, 50-50. When I spoke to the U.S. military today, they said, listen, you have to expect, and we are expecting, the U.S. military is expecting periods of progress and periods of setback. But you look at the overall picture, Wolf, it really looks like a stalemate across large parts of Iraq and Syria. It's a real challenge moving forward.
And ISIS still in control of Mosul, the second largest city in Iraq, a city of nearly 2 million people. And the Iraqi army doesn't even think about going after that target, at least for now. Thanks very much, Jim Sciutto, reporting.